Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is my Hayward Sharkvac robotic pool cleaner. I've had this for 3 years now. I want to give you guys a three-year review, tell you how it's done, show you how it's held up. Okay guys, I want to talk about durability wise. I've only had 2 things break on this in the 3 years I've had it, and I've been pretty rough on this thing. I probably haven't treated it as gently as I maybe should have. Usually when I put it in, I just drop it in, and the first thing that I had go out was, I have this kind of a part right now because I'm actually waiting on a part to get this back into the pool. But this wheel here broke the hub. The hub right here broke. The only thing I can think of that did that was just it going down when it drops in the pool, it drops kind of straight down, and usually it lands on the front or the back of the wheel. So I think just the impact of it hitting the bottom of the pool broke the hub of the wheel. Had to buy this. This is a $15, $20 part. You can find them all over online. So I replaced that. And then the thing that I'm waiting on right now is there's a shaft that actually runs the wheel here, and that's broken off from on the inside here. This is broken off that holds this scrubber brush on the front. So the part of this shaft that holds the wheel, it goes through this and it holds this scrubber brush bracket. It's broken off. That happened a couple weeks ago. I didn't notice it until probably a week ago. The pool just wasn't getting as clean as it usually gets with this, and so I was wondering what's going on. I take it out of the pool and inspect this, and I could tell the wheel was very wobbly. It wasn't on there tight. It was really wobbly like this. And then taking it apart, I found out that this. Now this is a pretty cheap part. I found this for 20 bucks on Amazon, so this is a pretty cheap part to fix. Those have been the only issues. Otherwise, this thing is held up really good, even to all the abuse that I've put it through. Fortunately, it's very easy to work on. The parts that I've had to replace have just come off with just a simple Torx bic screw. A T20 Torx bic screwdriver just takes the wheel off. These two screws just hold this on. So working on it has been very easy. And parts have been readily available on this thing, so that hasn't been an issue at all. I just don't know how it would hold up if I treated it a little more gently. It probably would held up a little bit better. These parts probably wouldn't have broken. So I want to give you kind of a close-up just to kind of show you how it's held up. I leave this in the pool like a week at a time sometimes and won't take it out. I'll cycle it several times on and off. So what'll happen is you hit the power button and it'll run for 2 hours, then stop. Well, I leave my pool here, I leave covered all the time when I'm not using it. And so the vacuum will be sitting in the pool. It'll run for 2 hours, stop, I'll come back out. I don't have to take the cover off. I can just hit the power button on the supply, which is this right here. It has a corded power supply that I just toggle back on, off, then back on, and it'll run for another 2 hours. So I'll do that probably twice a day, and then when we go to swim in it, the pool, I'll take this out and just set it off to the side, clean the filters, and it's good to go. It does look a little bit weathered because there are times when I leave it in there for a week or so, so you can see it's faded a little bit. Everything's probably just cosmetic. I still have a issue getting this enclosure open. This was a complaint I had when I first got it. Everyone else complained about this, but this button I just have a hard time releasing the latch here, and this is how you access the filter compartment. So once I finally get this open, that would probably be my only complaint about this, is just this lid is hard to get open. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 or 5 tries to push different areas, pull it at different levels, strengths, I don't know. So anyways, to get that open. One thing I really like about this is the filtering capability of this. You can see here it has filter on this side, it has a filter on both sides of this. These have a high quality filter. This filters down to almost a 0.5 microns, so this is filtering at almost the same capability, if not better, than my pool filter canister is doing. And so this provides filtration, but also water circulation for my pool on an independent basis. So all the dirt, debris, rocks, leaves, everything gets stuck down in this compartment here into these filters, and then these filters are pretty easy to take out. You just lift up on these tabs right here. There's a little blue, this is more of a primary filter that's going to get larger material, and then any of the smaller fine material, dirt and debris, is going to get trapped in here. I've had no issues with the power supply. This thing's held up great. This just gets left usually on my deck sitting right there, and then the cord is just strung into the pool. And I've had no issues with this. It only has probably 3 feet of 3.5 feet length of power cord, so I do use an extension cord on this. but the switch has held up great. It just is a little bit weathered. I've had to hit this little breaker right here. I have to trip that occasionally. But I like the fact this is powered, that I don't have to charge it, and I can just toggle it on and off right here on my deck and just let it run for another 2 hours. So when I go to turn it on, it'll run for 2 hours. I'll go out, hit the off button, turn it back on, and it'll run for another 2 hours. So I don't have to clean the filters. My pool usually stays pretty clean because it's covered all the time. I don't have to clean the filters after every cycle. I'll usually do it after it's run 4 or 5, even 6 times, and the filters will be pretty dirty after that point, but I'll pull it out of the pool, clean it all out, put it all back together, and good for another, 4 or 5 to 6 cycles. And once you have both of these little lids popped up here, that holds the filters in place. Now this is the only vacuum that I've used that has this quality of filters. This is my 3rd set. I've replaced these every year. They just get dirty and kind of worn out after a little while, and I want to have just a quality filter in there on a regular basis. The filters aren't that expensive, $30-40 maybe for both. So just once a year is what I'm replacing those. But it keeps me from having to replace the ones in my filter canister, because all of the dirt and debris is getting sucked through these and filtered in these, and not my pool filter. But this is the only robot vacuum that I've had that has this quality of filters. Some of the other ones I've used that are more battery powered ones, they have more of a mesh filter, and they don't capture the dirt like this type of filter does. So if you want a vacuum that's going to get the dirt, debris, get everything off of the floor, you want one that has this kind of filter. And so that's why I always just keep going back to this type of pool vacuum, because it's been very reliable, other than just a couple little broken parts, which not that big of a deal, guys. And I've been pretty rough with this too. I haven't treated it very gently, but it filters the pool very good, gets the dirt and debris off there. This roller brush on the front here, it spins as it's spinning, and it's still very soft and supple, and it still does a good job at scrubbing the floor as it's going along, cleaning the bottom. So a couple things I want to point out with this vacuum is I don't want you to be discouraged or dissuaded from looking at one of these because I have mine apart right now. I'm not trying to give a negative review. As I was fixing this, repairing this, and I haven't been able to use it for the last 2 weeks, I've really come to miss the quality that this vacuum gives, the quality of the cleaning job that it does on the bottom of the floor. In 2 hours, it has the entire floor of my pool cleaned, and my pool is kind of an odd shape. It's more of a free-form shape. It's not just a perfect rectangle, so it has some corners and curves that are harder to clean for this. So even though I have a part right now, I'm just waiting on a part to get it fixed, to get it back in the pool, I've really come to miss this vacuum because it does such a great job in the pool. It really gets that fine dirt out of the pool, whereas some of the other ones I've used, some of the less expensive ones I've used, can't get the dirt out because the filters are they're not a fine filter. It's just more for debris. This has a really fine filter that's going to filter the water, capture any dirt, debris that's inside of the water, and trap it in the filters. This is also a name brand. Hayward is a name brand. They're one of the biggest pool suppliers for parts, pumps, cleaners like this, parts for your pools. So the fact that this is a name brand vacuum, parts are readily available all over the internet for this, and they haven't changed the design of this. If I go on Amazon right now, is where I bought this 3 years ago, the same exact vacuum is still available for sale, and they're still selling it, and it's done a great job. So they've sold a ton of these, and because they do a great job, they haven't changed the design. They just work really well. So parts are readily available. You buy some of these cheaper, more knockoff brand vacuums, a lot of times if something goes wrong, something breaks, you're gonna have a really hard time finding parts available for these. You have to contact the manufacturer and just kind of go through a lot of channels to even find parts for these. So I like that parts are readily available. Parts are really cheap because there's so many of these available, and it does just a fantastic job at cleaning the pool. So with that being said, I highly recommend this one. Even though this is probably the most expensive vacuum that I've owned right now, I think it's going for almost $900 on Amazon. So it's not a cheap vacuum. Some of the other ones I've tried, between the $400 to $600 range, this does a better job than those. So I think it's worth it to invest in something like this. It's going to last, that has parts readily available, it's easy to fix. That does have a motor, the suction motor pump in here. I mean, that's almost a $350 part if that goes out. So I'm hoping that doesn't go out. That's probably the biggest thing that can go out in this, but I'm hoping that doesn't. But so far over the last 3 years, this thing's done a great job. I've had just a couple issues, but they've been easy fixes, easy repairs. And we've had a sparkling clean pool the whole time because of this vacuum right here. Anyways, guys, hopefully you found this informational or helpful. I'm glad that I've been able to have some good success with this over the last 3 years and be able to pass this along, especially if you're looking for a quality pool cleaner. I think this one does a good job. Be sure to see the link down below. I'll link this down below. Hit that thumbs up button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.